Greetings survivors, this is the Neuroshima Hex Gamer. Today's video is going to answer the very popular question, which armies do I recommend? The background comes from the Year of Moloch edition of Neuroshima Hex. These are remnants of the punch board for the different armies with the new artwork, which is actually really awesome. So we've got Moloch, Outpost, Hegemony, and Borgo, all looking very intimidating. So, which armies do I recommend? Now, as a baseline, any army can beat any other army. Sure, there are things that make it easier or more difficult, and some are definitely more based on the randomness of the tiles that come up. If your most powerful couple of units come out in the last draw or two, that's going to make an impact potentially on the game. However, understanding the units and the features of each army are helpful in being able to succeed in any confrontation. The players that understand their army and any opponent's armies will have a good leg up in the overall match. So, as a precursor disclaimer, I have not yet played Mephisto, Sandrunners, or Troglodytes. I do own them, but just haven't played them yet. And please, if you agree, disagree, please let me know in the comments below. Let me know your own ranking. I'm just one person with my opinions, sharing my insight into a game that I love. So, just to start out, my go-to recommendations for a beginning player who's played some or all of the base armies, which again are Moloch, Outpost, Hegemony, and Borgo, would be New York, Steel Police, and Smart. They're similar to what's in the base armies, but just a little bit different. And each of these have some unique units that make it really fun. If you like the Outpost for its human element, then I would recommend Sandrunners, Vegas, Steel Police, Hegemony, Iron Gang, and New York. If you like Hegemony, then I would recommend Steel Police. If you like nets, I'd recommend Iron Gang because it's that human element in the desert, a little bit more Mad Max style, which I'll talk about later, and also Sandrunners because these two have a very similar thematic element to it. If you like Borgo, then I would recommend Sharash because they have a scout that increases initiative. And also they have these explosives, 4 of them, that will attack, destroy a unit before battle even starts. So that's excellent if you like striking quickly. The beasts also have a couple of units. They've got a couple of these rangers that can actually turn, that increase initiative. And then they also have this alpha unit that attacks at initiative 4, and currently it is the only unit in the entire game that attacks at initiative 4 without any kind of module boost. If you like Moloch, they're tough, they have a lot of shooting units, then I would recommend New York because its HQ increases toughness. I would recommend Uranopolis because they have a lot of tough units. And I would recommend Doomsday Machine, which is harder to come by. They have a ton of shooting units and a handful of units that actually redirect shots. I would also recommend Smart because, again, of these shooting abilities. And they also have 3 Gauss cannons that attack in a line. So if you had a Gauss cannon here, pointing this direction, it would hit every enemy unit in that line. If you like melee combat, I'd recommend Borga, Hegemony, Sharash, Iron Gang, Beasts, Troglodytes, Death Breath, Mephisto, and Neo Jungle. If you like ranged combat, I would recommend Moloch, Outpost, of course, Smart, Steel Police, and Doomsday Machine. If you like high mobility, I would recommend Outpost, Dancer, as there's only 3 HQs and they do a lot of movement. Sharash, there's a lot of castling where 2 tiles can switch. Smart, because the HQ ability allows adjacent units to move and or rotate. Iron Gang, especially because they have this double move where they can move 2 spaces, which they also have on 4 of their units. And also Mephisto, which again I haven't played, but from reading it, it's got some good movement, some castling, and this transmitter that allows castling. So a lot of opportunities for movement. Okay, let's get into some themes now. If you like Dune, either the books or the movie that's going to come out very soon, then I would recommend Sandrunners or Mephisto. If you like any of the Mad Max movies, then I would recommend Hegemony, Sandrunners, and Iron Gang. If you like Judge Dredd, or just Dredd as in the 2012 movie, then I would recommend Steel Police. If you like zombies, the only answer for you is Death Breath. This army just oozes zombie theme. Some of these units, anything with green on them, can either, when they come back after they've died, they increase in either attacks or initiative or both, which makes them quite exciting to play. If you like animals, although admittedly not the cute and fuzzy type, I'd recommend Sharash, bunch of rats, Neo Jungle with a bunch of mutated animals, and also, of course, Beasts, which is quite a fun one to play. If you like being tricky or annoying to your opponents, then I would recommend Mississippi, because they have the ability to poison enemy units or HQs. I recommend Doomsday Machine because they can be tricky in that they can reflect attacks. And if you get things just right, you can actually angle a couple of triplers and one of these other units and have essentially infinite damage, which is actually why it's been banned from tournaments. It can be difficult to pull off depending on the randomness of the tiles, but when you can pull it off, it is so very satisfying. Dancer, they can be annoying depending on how your opponents handle them and how you handle them, with a lot of movement and the ability to dance where they can switch amongst themselves. I'd recommend Vegas, which can be very, agitating, as the agitator can take over an enemy unit, and the HQ itself has the ability to have a control takeover. I'd recommend Sharash because the HQ has the ability to castle or switch places with an adjacent unit or module depending on the situation. They also have explosives which, as I said before, destroy an enemy unit before the battle initiates. Okay, I'd recommend Sandrunners, which again I haven't played yet, but they The HQ is two-sided, so you can flip it so that you can either have an attack on all sides at initiative 0, or you can have attack on one side, a double attack and armor on the opposite side at initiative 2. That I feel has a strong potential. Plus they have this sandstorm that can exclude that hex from battle and blocks the line of sight. I have a feeling this one could be quite annoying to people. And then Iron Gang is annoying mostly from that chain effect. If you get that HQ in the right spot and you can line up a good chain attack and release that order, again, very annoying to your opponent. Also, Mephisto has the potential to be tricky or annoying to opponents, especially with the castling and the fact that there is only the single unit, which is the HQ. Again, I haven't played it, but again, just in reading what options are available, I have a feeling they could be annoying to an enemy. Now, as a side note, beasts can be highly annoying to your enemies, but also to yourself. They introduced a new feature with beasts where any unit that has this black and yellow stripe has friendly fire, which means it can attack its own units. Now, if you want some strange armies, some weird armies, or armies that could be more advanced, that I would definitely not recommend to a new player unless they really liked the theme, then I would recommend Dancer, because they only have 3 HQs and that's it. And when one of those objects is taken out, then you lose. That's a little bit tricky to get a hold of. It doesn't play as traditional. Beasts, as I said before, they are tricky because they have this friendly fire ability, which is just weird enough that I may not recommend for a new player. But somebody who's played a few games, I think, could get a hold of it. Neo Jungle is a really fun army to play on the app. When you're playing it in person, it can be a little bit tricky to keep track of all the upgrades and modules that are attached to the HQ, because the HQ, if it's not netted, can share modules among every other unit on the board, as long as they are connected. Perhaps at some point, Portal Games will release some tiles or some small tokens like they have in Monolith Arena that show those increases on initiative or attacks, just to help keep track of some of that headspace. I'd recommend, so another weird army. Again, this one's not too bad, but Death Breath does kind of break the rule in a way because it has zombies that come back over and over. And so that is something that could be a little bit difficult for a brand new person to grasp. Troglodytes also are weird because they have this cannibalize feature where they can eat its own units and then gain some boosts from it. Sandrunners, again, they'd be a little bit strange because they can flip the HQ, and so remembering that could be a little difficult. And then Mephisto, again, it's a single HQ and a bunch of other modules and implants that make it not exactly easy for beginner players. But again, if any of these are interesting to you, then please pick them up, learn them, figure out how they play, and enjoy. If there's anything you feel I didn't cover or would like to see in a future video, please let me know in the comments below. And please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't picked up the app, please go buy it and download it. I don't get anything from that. Just the more people we have interested in Neuroshima Hex, the better. So spread the awesomeness of Neuroshima Hex. Until next time, this is the Neuroshima Hex Gamer signing off.